Day 2 of flight school is in the books. I'm gonna start filming all this, make sure I can get all of my video equipment and all that kind of set up in the plane so that I can videotape all of this stuff. But I'll at least tell you what we worked on today. Went through the checklist. I had a different instructor today. Fernando is his name, from Argentina. I'm out here at Dallas Flight Center in Caddo Mills. So that's where I am. That's where I'm taking my lessons right now. So today we had about 1.3 hours in the plane. Went through the checklist, went through the, basically getting up in the sky, getting up to altitude, had me turn to some headings, get to some certain altitudes. And then we did some slow flying with the flaps on, adjusting the power to keep altitude and speed and all that kind of stuff with the flaps fully engaged. Then we did some stalls. So we did the power on stalls, where power is fully on and you're pulling the yoke back and you're basically simulating what happens at a takeoff, and then stalling the plane, recovering, gaining airspeed again, and leveling off. Practice that. The way that works, here's what I've learned, is power is on, you are pulling back, the stall indicator starts coming on, and you pull, stall, push the yoke forward, not drastically, but push it forward to gain the angle of attack, increase your airspeed, and then level off, continue on. Then we did some low speed stalls where the power was low and off, basically, with the flaps fully on. And that is essentially simulating a landing. So you're lowering your airspeed, you've got your flaps down, which allows you to, fly more, basically at a bigger angle of attack, and it feels almost like you're just kind of floating down. So instead of cutting through the air, you're almost kind of like, feels more parachutey. And so your power is low and you are, again, pulling back. You're basically simulating what it's like when you're flaring, kind of coming in for a landing. Because essentially what you're doing when you're landing is you're coming in at that angle of attack, and then basically before you get to the ground, you kind of like, flare it up so that you kind of get this, again, I used to fly a powered parachute. So, this is essentially what we did when we're landing, is we're coming in, we're killing the throttle, and you're flaring the chute, and that kind of gives you this like last little bit of lift right in time so that you just kind of make a smooth landing. Very similar with flying this fixed wing plane. So you're essentially simulating, that kind of extra lift that you get. But of course, in the fixed wing plane, you'll stall if you don't have enough airspeed. And so what happens is you got to then full throttle it. Again, not drastically, not yanking the plane down, but you got to push the nose in a little bit to, kind of level out so that you can get enough airspeed. So that's what we practiced today. Other thing we practiced was we picked this little pond out here. I'm out here where, there's a bunch of just open, flat land out here in the east side of Dallas. So we're basically between, the city of Dallas and Greenville, if you know where that is, along I-30. We're in Caddo Mills. And so we're just basically out here in like the flat, like prairie land of East Texas. And there's lots of little, there's trailer homes out here, but then there's also like multi-million-dollar estates out here. So we kind of picked one of these multi-million-dollar estates with this huge pond and had like a fountain out of it. And he's like, hey, pick that, and I want you to do a 360 turn all around this pond, maintaining the right airspeed, maintaining the same altitude, and keeping the same distance all around. So basically kind of like, looked on his map, drew like basically a perfect circle flying around this point. And essentially what we were doing was simulating kind of coming around the airport for landing. Then we did a few touch and goes. We practiced coming into the pattern, the landing pattern around the airport, at altitude, at speed, working the flaps, lowering the speed, coming in for the approach on the landing, managing the descent and the speed, all that kind of stuff. We did that like 3 times. I didn't land the plane myself because, I'm just not to that point yet. So, but Fernando, my instructor, was handling all of that. And man, it was just an absolute blast, a great time. My goal right now is to get this done as quickly as I possibly can. So that means flying every day if possible. It's Friday night right now. It's about 8:30. Just got done. I got out here about 5:30. I'll be back out here again tomorrow, Saturday at 6. I know I'm not flying on Sunday because there's no availability, but I'm going to start getting on the schedule every single day until I get my hours, until I get my proficiency level up to where my instructor says you are ready for your check ride. And so I think I can get my license, my private pilot license, in like less than 90 days. I don't see why I can't unless I just completely suck at this, or there's just no FAA check ride people, ready to get me in their schedule. I think it's called a DPE. I forget what that even stands for. This is how green I am. So you want to make fun of me? That's fine. But I'm new. You've been new at something too before. I'm not scared at all about being new. I'm not scared about looking stupid at all. So I'm having a lot of fun. This is going to be awesome. Well, big update. I had a rather unpleasant falling out with my flight instructor. Don't be afraid to use another flight instructor if it's just not really clicking. I can confirm based on my most recent experience that is 100% correct.